So, hey, everybody, welcome to our webinar series. We've been doing this for about, I don't even know, over 4 years on how to leverage Microsoft 365 to solve business issues. With me on the call are three of our fabulous team members. We've got Rafe, who's part of our infrastructure team, Nancy, who's one of our expert trainers, and then Arnie, who's one of our process improvement gurus. And I'm Jan Lehman, the owner of CTC Productivity. And the content or how we structure these, we do, I'm going to do a quick thing at the beginning. Rafe's going to do a deep dive for about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit over on his topic on Copilot. And then I'll do a little wrap up and then we open up for Q&A. You're welcome to enter questions in the chat at any time along the way. And when we get into Q&A, we'll answer them. Or Rafe, if you feel it's appropriate, you're welcome to take questions throughout. Anyway, okay, perfect. Next month or in 2 months, Nancy is up for telling us what the heck is changing with Microsoft, because, heaven forbid Microsoft leave anything static. So Microsoft Outlook is going through some changes. So join us in July. And Nancy's going to enter into chat some links for you. The links are for to go back and look at past webinar recordings, for the case study I'm going to be explaining, to register for the next webinar, etc. So check those out. All right, so just a couple of slides from me to talk about kind of the background around 365 and why it got our attention. So when we're working with clients, if we hear any of these issues around communication, collaboration, accountability, we always know that there's something in the Microsoft 365 suite that our clients should be looking at. So that's really kind of what you should be looking for as well. If you're complaining about these in your business, you should start exploring the 365 apps. You went the wrong way, Ray. I love it. Okay, so no, you're good. Go back one. This is funny. So the other thing that's super important, if you have a hybrid or remote workforce, definitely getting on fully onto Microsoft 365, getting your apps over in the cloud, your data over in the cloud, super important for this hybrid remote work environment. So 365 has gotten a lot more attention since the pandemic, for sure. So next, I'm just going to do a high-level overview of a case study. We always like to share one case study, and Nancy had entered the link into the chat, so you can click into that if you want. So we worked with a client, Daisy from Richmond Bakery, and they were going to start rolling out EOS, so the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And they felt very strongly that they want to have really good tools in place before they started rolling out the methodology. And they started looking at all the various third-party apps that were out there. You can go ahead and change, right? And what they realized is they didn't want to have their data isolated out in third-party applications. They wanted it all in within Microsoft. And this was even before Copilot became such a big thing. Now that we've got Copilot, we want everything into 365 environment. They also wanted to take advantage of the integration within Microsoft. They were already using tools like To-Do and Planner, and so they wanted to really have it integrated in the tools they're already using, so adoption was faster. And so they knew for sure they wanted a Microsoft solution. And they were like our ideal clients, because people can go and tinker and play and figure stuff out, but they knew they wanted to do it right and do it fast because time is money. And so they hired us to come in. Arnie's our EOS architect. And so they hired us to come in and build it out and lay out really a strategy around how to use Microsoft 365. And the plan was really to pilot all this with the executive team. So that's what we did. And so we did it in 2 phases. First was to build the EOS solution within the SharePoint site. And then second, it was to teach them and to build it out and integrate it within the Teams environment. It's so much more, it's a better tool, a higher quality tool when it's integrated within the Teams environment. And so we did both phases of the project with them. And end results, definitely, they were super happy. They worked with a company that was super embedded in EOS, understanding the methodology, what the requirements were, how to build it out. We knew exactly what questions to ask. They love that you could actually customize the tool. They actually ran the tool, as they say, EOS pure, but if they didn't, there were definitely ways to easily customize the tool. And now having it within SharePoint and Teams, everything was accessible on any device. And they had us build, there's two different ways we can build the EOS solution. We can build it in SharePoint list for task management, or we can build it in Planner and To-Do. Because they were using Planner and To-Do, Arnie built it out within that particular platform. And so they were taking advantage of the integration. They felt that the Teams integration made the whole solution much more user-friendly, and it really helped them see what the potential was for leveraging SharePoint and Teams in so many different areas of the business. Other results, the team was super happy with the solution, and they expanded the use of Teams, and now they're, again, leveraging SharePoint all over the place. Because Arnie, like Nancy and Rafe, are awesome teacher. Overall cost, there's a one-time cost of a little over $13,000, but zero ongoing cost because we build it out and it's in your environment and you own it. There was no direct ROI because they weren't running EOS before, so we couldn't do a time comparison. But basically, they were super happy with the results and said it led to a smooth rollout of EOS, which they said was priceless. So awesome. Thank you. All right, Rafe, you're on, dude.
All right, let's do it. So thank you all for joining what I'd call the meat and potatoes of the demonstration for today. All in all, we're going to be talking about two different versions of Microsoft Copilot. We're going to be talking about Microsoft Copilot that you'll find within Bing using the online. And then we're going to talk about the Copilot from Microsoft 365. Copilot, ChatGPT, AI, Bard, whatever you want to call it, has really become a buzz topic and a hot topic for a lot of different businesses around. Microsoft was one of the first in the industry to really start wrapping it up into their enterprise product offerings. So if you haven't heard about Copilot, I'm sure you will. It's all over the news and it's only going to become bigger and bigger. I did do one of these webinars, I believe it was about 3 or 4 months ago. And while it was great to talk about Copilot, I'm really excited to be able to show off a lot. So while I have a couple of slides here, don't worry, we're actually going to go into it. You're going to see it in action. We're going to do a couple of demos here to keep it exciting. As we go through, if you have any questions, feel free to raise a hand, put any comments you might have in our chat here. Hopefully, we'll also have some time at the end here. Let's begin. Let's do it. So to start out, we're going to be looking, and there's a video, we're just going to skip through that. And let's talk about what Copilot really is. So if you've heard of something like ChatGPT, if you've heard of other AI, artificial intelligence tools, Copilot is the branded version for Microsoft as a company, as well as for Microsoft 365. The components of it, don't worry, we aren't going to get too technical. We can definitely do it at a later time if you're interested. But all in all, what it's looking to do is take the vast amount of data that's in the interweb, wherever you search in Google or Bing. It's also going to take the vast amount of information within your Microsoft tenant. Think there's probably millions of emails, hundreds of thousands of files, how many chat messages, planner pieces. It's going to take all of those individual pieces of information, try and put it together in a cohesive package, which here's Microsoft Graph, where our information within Microsoft is stored. It's then going to say, let's give you a nicely branded, beautiful user interface that you can access the content. You can talk about it in real words. So when we go through the demo today, you're going to notice I'm not going to put in any technical lingo, technical slogan, logic whatsoever. This is something that you can do on your own in real language, and it's going to help you parse through the millions of pieces of content that you're probably going through daily, even if you don't realize it at the time. And then finally, we're going to bring together, there is a vast amount of resource and information on the internet. How do we access that securely, safely, but let you do your job in a much shorter amount of time and get the information you need, making sure that you don't have to go down too many different avenues. So that's a goal of Copilot. There's different variations or different versions of it, depending on what type of license you have. In today's demo, we're really going to focus on what used to be called the Bing Chat Enterprise, as well as the Microsoft 365 Copilot. The good news is if you have a Microsoft 365 business license, so let's think of business standard, let's think of business premium. Those are the type of license. If you have it now, you will have the Bing Chat or Copilot from Microsoft available to you. So you can take advantage of a lot of these features. There is an additional license that you can now get that is available to all tenants, all organizations, regardless of your size. So it is out there in the open for you to get. It is an additional add-on for $30 per user per month. You do have to pay for the full year, so looking at about $360. I'm going to show you the difference between the two. And even if you don't want to pay additional money to get the advanced features, we're going to start out today on that Bing Chat Enterprise, which you have that business standard, you have that business premium license, you have available now, and right after our call, you can hop in and start taking advantage of it. The reason why it's important to have that Microsoft 365 license is that we are going to get things like the commercial data protection included. So if you've gone out there and gone directly to ChatGPT's website, or you've gone to Google Bard, now renamed, if you go and put data in there, there is a high chance that that information that you're providing to that ChatGPT, to that AI bot, the artificial bot, to then process it, it's probably storing that information. It can use that information at a later time. So what Microsoft says here is, if you have a license, let us let you use a lot of these features, and we're going to protect it. We are going to secure it to ensure that any questions you ask, any information that you put into Copilot is secured, it's containerized, to ensure that it doesn't get out there in the web. And even if you're asking questions that might be more, I would say, confidential, maybe you're asking about competitors, all of that stored, saved within your tenant, so no one else can get that information, and it's not using it to retrain the AI model. So that's something really important. So when we look at Copilot, it is secure as long as you have the license, and even without paying any additional money here, we can use it. So let's hop into the demo here, our first one of the day, and we are going to get into what's called here the Bing Chat Enterprise, or Microsoft Copilot in Bing. How we can get there, it's very easy to do so. Open up any internet browser. You can probably tell I'm a Microsoft fanboy, so you know I'm going to Edge. That being said, if you want to use Chrome, you can use the same. You can use Firefox. What you want to do is go to your URL browser on the top and type in bing.com. Once you go to bing.com, you're going to want to make sure that you're signed in with your business email. You're going to know you're signed in because you'll see that email in the upper right here. And we're going to get this wonderful green button that says that you're protected. So when we are talking about the security, when we're talking about how do you know that you're in a nice place to do these searches, go to Bing, make sure you're logged in with your licensed Microsoft account. We'll see the protected. We know we're safe. Our searches, our queries, well, it is going to fetch information from different language models from the internet. It is not feeding that information back, so we can feel secure in what we're going to be asking. If you're going to be using the Microsoft Copilot in Bing, it's not going to pull in your company information. It's not going to pull in your email. It's not going to pull in your Teams message or pull in your files. That is something that you would need to pay the add-on to get. However, I can tell you how even starting here can save you countless hours as it is. So the first thing, I have a couple of examples here today. I am going to ask Copilot, can you tell me more about my new business partner, CTC, productivity?
Oh, this is scary. It might pull up dirt about me.
Don't worry, I've already done this ahead of time to make sure there wouldn't, but it's a great way to look. So maybe you're a business analyst, maybe you're a CEO looking to buy a new company. Maybe you have a vendor that is just not responding to you. Take advantage of AI, and you can see I'm talking in real life, just as if I were to talk to my friend that would have information on this topic. Can you tell me more about my new business partner, CTC Productivity? Let's go ahead and submit and see what it comes up with. There, certainly, it's telling me information about the company. It's telling me I can view more about their success story pages. And something else that I find really exciting is in the early days, you probably saw CNN or whatever, ABC, whatever news articles that you're looking at, where there was one law firm that created fake case studies and fake law using ChatGPT. What Bing says is we are going to make it an enterprise available product. We're going to keep it secure. And any of the information that we're pulling, we are going to give you the sources for it. So you can see, is ctcproductivity.com a reliable source? It is. It's the company website, and that's where we're pulling the information from. So at all steps along the way, you can look at it, see it, is this information correct? Because we're still talking to a robot, right? We're talking to a large language model, and we do want to fact check to ensure that that information is correct. Copilot is already giving me some other options here. Maybe I'm going to follow along with my path. So you do have different ways to ask questions. You can do what's called prompting, ask questions in different ways to get different responses. But the most exciting part here is we can continue on with it without referencing CTC. So I'm going to ask another question and say, can you tell me what the company does? I didn't even mention the name again. I'm following with the train of thought here, and it's already going to pull it in. It's going to find it for me, and it'll tell me more about what they do. Now let's get even scarier. So I know that CTC reached out to me. Jan Lehman is the person that's my main contact. I am now going to ask it, what can you tell me about Jan Lehman at CTC Productivity? Sorry to use
Okay,
you as
now
my
I am
guinea
getting
pig,
nervous.
Jan. I already did this before, so don't worry. It's all great stuff. As an international speaker,
There's
decades.
no dirt on me, Rafe, so it's
There
all
really
good.
isn't. I know. I tried really hard.
Oh, you tried.
And it's giving me all this information from the different websites that it's pulling from. So this is a really easy example of maybe you're looking at a different company or looking at a competitor. All of this information's in place, and no one else will ever know that I searched about Jan from my company. If you were to do something like this in public ChatGPT, there's a potential down the road that you could say, what is Jan Lehman searching for? If that information is fed back in the system, it can feed you that. So this is where it's important to say, if you have Microsoft, if you're using it, this tool is already available, it's protected and secured, and can really help you save a lot of time. Now, let's do one more that might be a little bit more, I guess, to the point here and a little less just overall. Let's ask a new topic. So I'm just going to clear the old one. It's not about CTC anymore. Hopefully, Jan, you'll be happy about that. And I can say, can you tell me about any new financial regulations that have come out in the state of Minnesota? Picking one off the top of my head here. So if this is actually relevant to your industry, if it's not, you can definitely tailor it to your own. And it's going to give us all of the new laws with the dates that they came out, links to them. So rather than spending countless hours of doing a Google search and then clicking into the different pages, clicking the back button, going back in, it's now going to collate all of the information for you together in one place, giving you links to it, saving you countless hours of either finding information or creating it. From here, I can say, create a 3-paragraph summary of this information. So maybe you need to send this to your entire team. You want to send it via Teams message. Send it via an email. You don't want to have all of those points there. So I'm just going to say, give me a 3-paragraph summary, copy and paste it, send it out. So it's not just fetching, it's also creating, really helpful. And you have this at your fingertips today. Just note that it's not pulling in information from your company. You're not going to see this in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, in Outlook. This is the free version included with your licensing. Just make sure you're logged in. Do we want to do one more fun example? Let's do another fun one. So if you want to be more of a graphically inclined type of employee, maybe you want to create a logo for your company. Here it's giving you an example about creating a SWOT analysis. Overall, one of my favorite ones to do is I'm going to say create an image of a cat wearing a cowboy hat riding a T-Rex. Why? It's fun. It's exciting. Just giving you a way to show that it can also create images. It can create logos. You can use it for a lot more, and really any part across your business can probably take advantage of the tools that are here within Copilot. It only takes a couple of seconds for your image to generate here. And there you go, is my cat wearing a cowboy hat riding a T-Rex. These are some of the things they can do. You can take it, extrapolate, do a whole bunch of other things with it. Overall point is, I would definitely recommend using it as soon as possible. Let's go back to our slide deck here. That was the Bing Chat Enterprise, or the Microsoft Copilot in Bing. Same here. Now let's take a look at if you pay for the add-on, right? So if you pay for the Microsoft 365 Copilot add-on, it is $30 per user per month. You do have to pay for the full year. You can reassign the licenses as needed once you purchase them. Once you do that, you are now opening the world of Copilot to bring in your company content. So if we wanted to do something like go to Outlook and say, summarize all of my emails for the day. Or what we could also do is I could pull up my Outlook here. I could go ahead and open up our Copilot, and I can say I want to draft an email within Outlook itself. So here we did not have to go to Bing. We did not have to go to any type of internet browser. It's now natively embedded into your different Office applications. So I can ask it to write a newsletter email about how Microsoft 365 Copilot is the greatest thing since sliced bread. People still say that, right? That's still an expression. Let's go ahead and generate. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a paragraph, exactly what I'm asking about. Could I have written this email myself? Sure. Did I get a great place to start with waiting about 10 seconds? Absolutely. So as it's creating the draft here, it's going to show me the content. I can then approve it. I can then see I want to start over from scratch. And of course, anytime you ever try to do a demo, it's going to misbehave. Let's try and, oh, it's thinking now. Okay. It just didn't have its morning coffee yet. It's going. And I did this as a demo before, and it took about 2 seconds. There we go. So here we are. We can keep this information. It's writing it for me. It's not enough, right? I can't use this for a newsletter. There's not enough data in it. So what I could say is, carrying through that train of thought, I can say add more, or let's say add 2 more paragraphs to this email newsletter. So in real language, I'm telling it exactly what I want. Let's go click on enter and see what it comes back with. So you can play with it, you can massage it. Based off of the different type of questions you ask, you will get a different response with it. So there is a lot of just kind of playing with it, getting used to it. And once you find that prompt that you like, gives you the answer you want, you can save it, you can keep it, and here we go. It's now gone ahead and added 2 more paragraphs for us and even added in a quote. I clicked on apply, it added it all in for me. And from there, I still want to read through it. I still want to make sure the content is correct. Where we say, AI at one point may take over your job. It's not there yet. Don't worry. They still need a human eye to go through it, ensure that it's all great. Edit it, but at least you have a really good running start. And this was just one example of what you can do. You can have it search through emails. You can have it summarize your day. I'm not going to do that with my own email here because I don't want you to see all the junk that gets in my inbox. All in all, this is just what we can do within Outlook. Now let's go to another application here. So maybe we want to go to Word. What I've done is I've opened up a Word document that I've already created, just talking about Microsoft 365 IT generalist documentation. If I were to read through this, I would probably be bored at the end. I'd probably be taking a nap at my desk. Now, personally, I love this stuff, but some people don't as much. So what I can say is, once we open up that Word document, let's click on Copilot, which is now embedded in the application here. And I can tell it, can you write a 5-bullet summary of this document? I don't have the time to read it all. Maybe someone created it for me. I just want to get the gist. So let's use AI to save time, be more productive, and have it do the work for us. It's going to be pulling it together. It's combing through all of the different information. I could have told it to give me a 6-bullet summary or a 7-bullet summary. Take your pick, just depending on how much data that you want here. And there we go. It is creating my 5-bullet point summary. It's talking about documentation, core services, and components. Much easier to read than potentially a 10, 20, 30, 50-page document. We can go through all of that here and slice it. On the flip side, you can also use it to create Word documents for you. So if you want to give a content saying, maybe I want to create a new Word document here, and I want to tell Copilot to create a Word document based off of what I just pulled here in my Copilot. You can copy the text, You can paste it in your Word document here, and then it will create it for you. There's a lot of different ways to work for it. You can find content, you can have it create content, you can have it go through it. These are just some of the base examples. And we can even go to PowerPoint, which will be the last part here that I show you within the apps. If you're someone that's creating a lot of decks, maybe you're doing a lot of presentations, just like we're doing today, webinars, rather than starting from scratch, I can ask Copilot here within my PowerPoint application, find 10 bullet points on how Microsoft 365 Copilot is amazing. I even spelled amazing wrong. Don't worry, it'll go through it. It knows. And it's going to look it over and it's going to give me 10 bullet points based off of whatever I asked. Maybe you could say the 10 bullet points on the newest financial laws in Minnesota. Or maybe you want to say, find me the latest changes to the HIPAA Healthcare Act in this state, this country. Now, maybe it didn't like my text here, so I'm just going to ask it in a different way. If we don't get the response we want, we can prompt it and find it different. So I'm going to say, find 10 information pieces on Microsoft 365 Copilot. We can ask it again. We can ask it as many times as want. We have up to 2,000 characters, which if you think of it, is quite a bit. And you can go back and forth about 30 times to ensure that whatever it's going to give you is as accurate as possible. So here we go. We're still working on it. We're still finding it. It will get our information as requested. It's combing the deep dregs of the internet right now.
If you're already starting to get some questions in chat, no need to answer them yet. I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do here is, of course, when you do a demo, it doesn't want to behave. I'm just going to change topic, start over from scratch here. And then this is the last thing I had to point out. So then we can go to those questions that we have there. 10 facts about Microsoft 365 Copilot. So now we're just asking for facts, information, pieces. You can use any topic that you want, and hopefully it will behave here for me, which I'm sure it will. And there we go. So it's starting to create the different pieces for us, and it gave me exactly 10. Now what I'm going to say is create a slide for each fact you found. So we have our information. We got the information from Copilot, but you could get it from a different document. You could get it from maybe a research paper that someone within your organization has already created. And from here, we're going to let it create our whole slide deck for us. This may take a couple of seconds here. So while we're waiting on that, this might be a great point to look at our chats. Actually, as soon as I try to go, it pulled up. So here it created 10, just right when you're ready to share. Yep. So here it created slides for us. It already put some images behind it for us. You can change the images. It's really a great starting point. What I could also do is say, create a summary slide on slide 2. So I don't have to go figure out the 10 different pieces of content in there. I'm going to talk to it exactly like I might talk to someone else on my team that's building it. I scrolled up so then we could see slide 2. There we go. It created a summary for me. Maybe you want to create an intro slide. These are the things that takes, a 2 or 3 hour PowerPoint creation project into 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And from there, you have time to make it beautiful, change the font. It's going to be getting even better as well. Very soon, one of the next Microsoft 365 roadmaps for Copilot will be going through SharePoint, searching all of your files, going through the content within there. So when I say even where it's at is amazing, think of it even a couple of months down the road. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of people power being put into making this app even better. So what I'm showing you here is still just the basics, what we have here. And I could probably, like I mentioned before, spend hours going through all of it. But hopefully this was a great introduction to both the online included version within your license that you can get. Search for content. You can create content free included. Just make sure you're signed in to get the protection. Or if you want to go one step further and say, I want them in all of my apps, I want to go full Copilot, make my life a little bit more automated here for finding content, creating it. bringing together all of the different pieces within Microsoft. You can get that $30 per user per month license. You do have to pay for the full year, but just note it doesn't need to be everybody that has it. You can pick and choose who might get the most out of it. On top of that, you can give it to someone, see if they use it. If they don't, you can then assign that license to somebody else. It does require a lot of your content to already be in Microsoft if you want to reference files, look at documents, get summaries. However, if you're already in Microsoft or you're looking to make that transition, go to that trajectory and have every single thing in one place, a single unified interface, single pane of glass to access your content and really cut through the clutter, that's what Copilot's made for. It is available for all as long as you have that Microsoft licensing. Whew. I've been talking a little bit. Jan, do we want to go over to your sides and then questions at the end? Or
Yeah, let me wrap up and then open up. There's a couple questions in chat already. Perfect. I'll be quick on mine. That was awesome, Rafe. So yeah, just a couple wrap up slides. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So a lot of times people find our webinars out on YouTube or somewhere else, and they're not sure who we are, what we do. So just a real high level overview. We basically help companies with full adoption of Microsoft 365, and these are the phases that we go through. Depending on where you are in your maturity, what your issues are, often we'll start at the very beginning, which is doing the assess phase, peeking under the hood, look at your licensing, your setup, lay out a plan to migrate data, email over, set up the team, SharePoint infrastructure. Then we move into optimize phase, where we start having lots of fun with Power Automate, Power BI, Copilot, Planner, To Do, SharePoint, all those fun things. And then we always our plan is always to wrap up and to educate your IT group, your power users, your end users, so there's no dependency on us. That's the way we roll. Our secret sauce is really a combo of really how we approach this. There's a million different ways to configure Microsoft 365. So we often talk about the importance of defining what we call rules of engagement. It's really your operations manual, but you really need to come up with how exactly is my company going to use this suite of tools, and then educate and train toward those particular rules. That's a really important piece. Also, the way you approach training, we always offer one-on-one training. Inevitably, with adoption issues, people need some personal handholding, and so that's a big piece of what we offer as well. And so this cycle just of going around and around really helps with adoption. And just a reminder, Nancy, if you don't mind entering the stuff into chat again, that'd be fabulous. If you want to catch us, our next webinar is in 2 months. We're talking about what's changing with Microsoft Outlook. Nancy will be up talking about that one. So go ahead and register today or sign up for our newsletter, and you'll be notified about all future webinars. And now we will open up for Q&A, and we'll start with Q&A around Copilot, and then certainly open to any questions. But let's start with questions on Copilot if we could.
Absolutely. So I'm seeing the first question, I believe, is, are the quotes real or Copilot generated? So the quotes, are you looking at when we were in the Bing Online, when we were searching? Everything that I added in here was just what I typed in as we went. Copilot does have some pre-created kind of content. Where do you want to start? Trying to get you going down along the right path. The references that are going to be created are on the web. They're pulling in the exact source that they're using there. So really, Copilot isn't generating anything new unless you ask it to. So for example, when I said create a email newsletter template in Outlook, that was pulling a little bit from the web, but it wasn't quoting any website. It wasn't pulling in any references. It was just creating content for me. That is all going to be your use, Creative Commons. And so there isn't any type of trademark on it. We had another question in PowerPoint. Can it pull in company branding and messaging? Great question. And where I would say right now is not quite yet. And the reason of that is you can reference files. You can upload files. You can put in an image and then tell Copilot to copy that image to all slides. Eventually, once Copilot comes out to SharePoint, you could create a PowerPoint template, for example. And every time you open up PowerPoint, you reference that file to get your branding, get your theme, get your fonts. So you could do that and then build the content on top of it. Right now, it's a little bit of a mix of both. As you can create it, usually putting in your own spin company branding would be after the fact to you manually, but it's going to try and create 75–80% of the content to at least get you most of the way there.
Hey, Rafe, I have a question. So you're saying
Mhm.
that Copilot currently does not scrape the SharePoint data, but it will in the future? Is that what you're saying?
So yes and no. So what it's doing is Copilot isn't natively integrated into SharePoint at the moment. So you wouldn't be able to go to the SharePoint app and see Copilot as an option on a page. You would be able to open up Copilot, for example, and I can open up my business Copilot here. And if it wants to sign in, hopefully it will sign in for me there. And you can reference files that are in SharePoint, are in your OneDrive. If you open up the Copilot for Microsoft 365, the paid version here, we could do a whack, and you can search for files here like how intro to file collaboration, Microsoft 365, Doc One. So it's going to show you the files that you've recently opened in OneDrive and SharePoint. You can search for some files, but it isn't natively embedded within SharePoint quite yet.
Thank
Did
you.
that answer?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So it's kind of there, it's getting there, and that's why it's being rolled out this month. Hopefully within a month or two, you're gonna get a lot better searching, going through all the documents as they roll it out.
Yeah.
Hey, Rafe, it's Doug.
Hello, Doug.
Hello, buddy. Hey, so I noticed on my workstation, because I'm paying, as you know, I'm paying for the $30 a month, and it's been great. Love it. What I am noticing on my laptop, it doesn't seem to have come over. Is that due to licensing, or should it show up on both? It doesn't seem to be showing up on my laptop.
Okay. And it really depends on how your device is joined to your Microsoft account. If you have two different devices, both are Windows 11, and you log into your work profile on both, you should be able to use Copilot on either one since it is tied to your user license. Something to keep in mind is it really depends on how you're accessing Copilot. So here I went to office.com, and Copilot was one of my apps that I have here in my internet browser. Right now I'm in Edge. If you're on Windows 11, you may see the Copilot logo on the bottom of your screen and your system tray. Yep. Keep in mind that
That's the one I
everybody
see
that's
it.
now getting Windows 11 has that there. And it's going to be working under the Bing Copilot more than the Microsoft 365.
Okay.
So
Because I do see it on my workstation that way, but not on the laptop. But the laptop is an Enterprise 11, like you mentioned. But I can get to it through like what you did here, right? Through the Teams, through the business account. I'm set up just like you are there. So I was able to access it that way on the laptop. But it's not showing up in the icon at the bottom. So how is there a way to make that happen? Or
there
am I
is,
just out of
yep.
luck?
So if you're on Windows 11 and maybe you don't see it right away, it's not an app there. Keep in mind that there is the Windows Store, or actually the Microsoft Store. My apologies. So if you search for the Microsoft Store on your Windows 10, Windows 11 here, you'd want to be on Windows 11 to use it. You will be able to search for Copilot, and these apps are available for you to download. Now, I don't think on my device, it's not really going to be a good demo because we restrict what I can download here, but everybody should have it. If you don't see it, you can get it from the Microsoft Store, or click on your Start menu and search for Copilot, and it should appear there.
Okay. I will do that. Thank you. And if not, then you and I will have another discussion on Monday.
Sounds good. Oh, and we have another question here. So are chats private, or can someone else within the organization ask Copilot what others are chatting about? Great question, and it depends where you're asking. So all in all, if you pay for that $30 per user per month license, you're using the Copilot from Microsoft 365. What you ask, the prompts that you're putting in are private to you, except for if an IT administrator needs to audit it. So we can, as an IT administrator, run reports to see what did this person search for in Copilot. So you probably don't want to search for, how do I update my resume to find a new job? Probably not something you should put in here. Okay. To each their own, but it's not by default, it's just going to be you except for an IT administrator. And what about the chats in Teams? So just like if you have your files stored in SharePoint, your files stored in OneDrive, Just you by default can see it, except for the other users that have been given access. And Copilot does not grant any more rights than a person already has. So for example, since I'm sharing my screen here, when I click on that whack or backslash here, find the files, it is only going to show files that I've either already have access to, I have been shared with. It will not let you go or even know that other files exist if you haven't been granted access. So when you're building your SharePoint sites, you're storing files, giving permissions to each one of them, by just restricting it site by site, someone could go to Copilot, they're only going to see the files they have access to. Same thing with Teams chats. If you have a chat between myself and you, Samantha, either of us could go to Copilot and it will pull up for us. Let's say someone else, let's say Jan is in your tenant, Jan tries to search, she would not be able to see any of them because it's just us that have access to. So that's kind of an underlying theme throughout all of the Microsoft 365 suite. You only have access to what you can see. And even these apps here that start doing a lot of searching across, unless you've been given access to it, you're not going to find it or know it's even there.
Cool.
But just remember, IT administrators are always watching.
Big brother.
We don't have time for that.
Any other questions? You're also welcome to, unmute yourself and ask or into to chat. Rafe, this has been awesome.
And it's
I
really
always
getting
learn something.
exciting. There's only more and more coming through. So where I would kind of end it with is, if you're looking at using Copilot, you have business standard, business premium license, you have the Bing Chat for Enterprise, your entire staff can use it. Please, please, please get your staff off of using ChatGPT, using those other free ones, because you don't know where that information is going. Take advantage of the tools you have using Copilot for Bing, Copilot within Edge here to ensure it's secure. You're going to get even better responses because the Copilot is using the latest versions of AI software or the AI brain behind the scenes. So it makes perfect sense. If you're on the fence about the $30 per user per month, a lot of ways that I'll usually try and tell people about it is, think of, even if it saves you 1 hour a month, it saves you 5 hours a month. Compared to that $30 per user per month, you are getting a lot of value with it. Mm-hmm. Is it a license that I think everybody should have? No, it's not a license I would give to everybody unless you want everybody to try it. But being able to cut through the clutter, go find your emails, find your teams that you have access to, take a look at your files, your content creators. If you have a marketing team, this is the perfect place. They can create the PowerPoint, they can create images. Is it going to take anybody's job at the moment? No, I wouldn't say so. It's meant to just let you do more with less and make your time spent on more valuable propositions rather than doing the day-to-day minutia of searching, finding, and creating. And of course, asterisk at the end, always confirm what Copilot has put out for you. It's done a really good job of looking at references. It'll tell you where it got the information. I don't want you to start using it and say, well, Rafe said we can use it for everything, and now you're getting sued by a lawyer. That's not the case. Double check. It does a great job, and it's only getting better as it goes through.
Awesome. Well, excellent. Thanks, Rafe. I think, Doug, Rafe, if you'll hang on for a minute, Doug might have a question for you offline, but that was excellent. Thanks so much, everybody.